High school was a really weird place for me. There's just no other way to put it. I mean, take a look at this picture here. When I was in high school, I looked pretty much like a Bible or encyclopedia salesman. And if you imagine, I was driving a car when I looked like that. Like that was actually what I looked like while I was in high school. So you can imagine the amount of shit I got for 4 years, and honestly, even into college sometimes. So school was not exactly very fun for me. But in school, I made this deep observation that there were typically three kinds of people. 99% was made up by two groups. When people don't know what their identity is and they don't know what they want, we tend to do two things. We either conform, so we emulate what we see everyone else doing, which humans do in childhood as well as in adulthood, because we want to fit in. We don't want to be ostracized, we don't want to be exiled, we want to feel like we belong and people like us. The second group is we rebel. We're like, screw the establishment, I hate all of you, I hate anything that's popular, screw these people. But the third group is a very special group of people that are very rare. And I want to share why this third group is the most important that you become, that you dedicate yourself to always staying in this third zone, because this third zone is the secret to unlocking everything you want in life. And I'll show you exactly why. Hey guys, Alex Hine, author of the book Master the Day. Now, the first step to honestly unlocking that kind of success and clarity about what you want in life is journaling. So I've included the first link there is for a free journaling worksheet. You're also going to get a weekly email series. So in these emails, you're going to understand exactly how to use journaling to improve your life and set goals and get clarity on how to get your life together. So click the first link in the description to download that free journaling worksheet and check those out. So that third group is called the aligned group. And I want to introduce you to that group in just a second. But first, let's break down the other two to understand why so many people get lost in life. So the most common group is that people conform. There's nothing wrong with conforming, nothing wrong with being a sheep, nothing wrong with it at all. The problem is that when you conform against what your own soul and your desires are, when you are being false, you're being fake by conforming. Most people conform because it feels good. Like when I was in high school and I got bullied endlessly, I was bullied for nothing I could even control. Like I was the shortest kid. I went through puberty super late, so I looked really young, and I was like an easy target. I didn't ask for that. I wasn't like a goth dude with like 2 black earrings and like black parted hair with Avenged Sevenfold playing. I was just a normal kid. But I looked like an easy target, and so I got bullied a ton. And so that, honestly, it was that experience for me that really pushed, it kind of instilled in me, honestly, on one level, a deep hatred of human beings. Like really, as a kid, I really disliked people, and I stayed away from people a lot. So I spent a lot of time alone, mostly just outside in the woods and stuff. And it was that experience, though, that was very enlightening, because it taught me most people want to fit in, not because they even really want to fit in or do those activities. Like most people will play sports, play instruments, study things, go to these parties, hang out with these people, not even because they like those people. It's kind of like LA. Not even because they like those people, but because they're the cool people. Because that's like the cool sport. It's the cool thing to do. So most of us will conform because belonging is more important than being ourselves. Feeling we belong is more important than the truth. This is an age-old thing, right? Same thing on YouTube. People create content that's popular because they value popularity over the truth. In high school, people want to be popular, and in life, people want to be liked because we value fitting in over speaking our truth, which may be very unpopular, very unliked. And you guys know that's not my style. I like the truth, especially when it hurts. But we conform because we want to fit in. It's uncomfortable to not be liked or to not have people around us. But the danger of that is that you lose your own soul to gain the appreciation of the world. So the conformist does what society wants and gets validation from fitting in. The second group is the rebel. Now the rebel, we all know the rebel. That's like the bad boy who's the tough guy in shows, and you know deep down he's a damaged, hurt little boy because his daddy told him he hated him and he beat him too many times. And the rebel's like, screw you guys, I hate all of you, I don't want to be around you, You're going to do that. I'm going to go do that. The rebel is a classic archetype because the rebel shows up quite a lot. Now, the rebel can be the bad boy rebel. The rebel can be the emo alternative rebel, the hippie, right? There's like the hippie's like the rebellion versus like the Wall Street banker with the suit. I'm going to wear almost no clothes. I'm not going to shave my armpits. I'm going to do whatever I want. And screw you if you tell me something else. The rebel can be the hippie. It can be the bad boy. It can be the emo person, the alternative person. It can be all kinds of things. But the thing is, the problem with the rebel is that the rebel gains validation from not fitting in. The rebel gets off from being like, those people are just like, they're trying so hard to fit in. Like, I'm me and myself. But the problem is, conformists don't think about what they really want. And here's the thing, neither do rebels. Because most people that rebel just to rebel against the system because the system repulses them. It triggers something in them. Most people do not rebel because they consciously want to rebel. Think about that. And so the conformist is unconscious. The rebel is unconscious. And that brings us into the third group, the aligned person. Now, the aligned person gets validation from, you guessed it, being their goddamn selves. Being yourself is the aligned person. But the aligned person knows that, guess what? If you may be that biker. And then guess what? You may be popular, unpopular, you may look like you conform in this group, or you may be the rebel in this group. But you don't care either way what you are, because you do it for yourself. The third group gets validation from themselves. And so they don't care if they're popular or unpopular. These are like little annoyances. It's like fame. When you're doing what you love, fame is like a little annoyance. It's a little mosquito buzzing in your ear, just like, get away from me. The aligned person is free to do anything they've always dreamed of because they're not the slave of society. They're also not the slave of trying so hard to prove how different they are that they can't even be themselves. The conformist doesn't dare be themselves. The rebel's trying so hard to show how different they are. It's like Portland. Look how different I am. I'm screaming different. But the aligned person is themselves. If you're into medicinal plants and that's not cool in high school, then fine, you're not cool in high school. Great, you're free of that BS. If you love motorcycles, great. Maybe in some cultures, maybe in high school you're cool and in the real world you're just like, you're seen as like a bummy dude. That's great, this is you. But ultimately, you're free of anything society demands of you. And that is a beautiful life to live. So the first value in being, or virtue we could say, in being an aligned human being, is that number one, you are set yourself free to do what you love. You are set free and you have set yourself free. So just like for me in high school, I was into medicinal herbs, martial arts. I played a lot of World of Warcraft. I played sports. Some of those things were considered cool by society. Some of those were not. And guess what? If I was too busy worrying about what other people thought, I would have had the lowest self-esteem in the world. But if I was so hard trying to rebel and be like, screw you guys, look at how different I am, I would also be kind of screwed because I would be dependent on them to feel good about myself. So the first thing is when you're aligned and you don't care what the world thinks, you're free to do what you want, not what your parents want, not what society wants, not what your friends expect. You're free to reinvent yourself whenever the hell you want. The second thing is that your self-esteem, like the core beliefs you have about your self-worth, are not reliant on, again, anybody but yourself. So people who are aligned with themselves and they don't care what the world thinks, they have this kind of inner power, this inner charisma that so many people wish they could have. It's not like this kind of power that comes from being popular where everyone wants to be your friend, but you don't know if anyone really likes you because they're just attracted to power. These are conformists. They're simple creatures. These are the sheep that just want to be around the movers and the shakers and the people with the big names. These people are not genuine. But when you're aligned, guess what? Sometimes things don't go well and you're invisible. Sometimes when you're aligned, things go really well and you're very visible and you can get fame. But none of that matters. You know someone who's deeply fulfilled and deeply happy, successful business person when they're married to the same person, they live in the same house, they don't live a lavish life, they live a simple life. You look at people like Warren Buffett, look at people like John Templeton. These men We're all married to the same woman, I think, or at least one, for a long period of time. They lived mostly pretty simply, modestly. I think they're religious. Like just, they have not just common sense, simple lives. They look sane the way they live. Doesn't mean they're perfect, but that's how you know someone is aligned with their purpose. They don't need all that other stuff for the validation. They don't need to show it off. Now the third kicker here, and why these things even matter, is that the aligned person has a lot less self-hatred for themselves. Now this is big because when you're conforming, almost by definition, you're stuffing down your own feelings. You're stuffing down what you want to do because you want to go where everyone's going for dinner, because you want to do the sports and go where the cool kids are. So there's this level of unease when you're too busy conforming. When you do the job that mommy and daddy wants, yeah, sure, they're happy, but what about your soul? You've got to exist in that body while you're alive. So good luck with that. What about if you do something all the popular kids want to do because you want to be popular, but they all want to drink and you don't really want to drink. You don't want to do drugs. You don't want to smoke cigarettes. There's just going to be this conflict. You're doing something to fit in that you don't want to do. You've given your soul, you've sold your soul because you want to be cool and you want to fit in. You're going to have some self issues going on there with your emotions. But so will the rebel. Most of the deeply rebellious kids I know have the deepest psychological issues. So they're not rebelling by being themselves. They're rebelling to deliberately push back at some uncomfortable emotion within themselves. That's an issue. That's some darkness they have to deal with. Just like the conformist has that darkness they have to deal with. But when you're aligned, when you're doing what you've always felt like you have to do, good or bad, love it or hate it, take me or leave me, you're free. And being free is a goddamn great place to be in your life, because there will be temptation your whole life to try to be somebody else that you are not. But if you're free, then you're safe, you're secure, because you're a soul and purpose-driven person, and that is someone secretly that everybody admires behind the scenes. So, that is my impassioned rant for today, guys. Always want to try to be the aligned person. That just means you follow your soul's calling. Be who you want to be. If you're loved, that's great. If you're hated, that's great too. But you're free no matter what.